Hello Chappets and welcome to the Double Back Monthly for January 2017. What is the Double Back Monthly? Well, it's a video that I set up for my Patreons, but you too can watch this. In this video, I've got lots of things to show and tell you about. The first section that I'm going to do is the review of reviewers. This is where I look back at all the reviews that I've done over the past month, and I do like an abbreviated, very short version of them, so you can see if there's anything there that interests you. I also have a new section which I'm going to call the first and the last. This is a section where I talk to you about games that I've played over this month, which I haven't reviewed, but I'm going to give you like a little mini review, and it's probably the first time that I've played them, or it's probably the last time that I'm ever going to play them. Yes, interesting, eh? And after that, it goes into question time, where I'll be answering the question, what is the seventh continent? And then I'll finish up with the prize draw for a free copy of Last Night. Yes, it's a prize draw for those guys that have helped me out with my Patreon and backed above the $5 level, and it's a kind of live prize draw. See if you win or not. Yeah, you too can win. Haha. Let's move on with the review of reviews. So let's talk about the games that I've reviewed this month. I'll put a little video up here, so while I'm talking, you can click on that video if it interests you and jump straight to the review itself. First up, start with Lutes by Superlude. This is a small card game where everyone is blind bidding simultaneously to acquire boulangeries and people that make boulangeries. So you're making bread and you're buying bread and your beer and swords and weapons, and you're all doing this and you're trying to get a set collection which will give you maximum points at the end of the game. The game is quite fun but quite frustrating at the same time, as you are arguing over someone else outbidding you on something or bidding the same as you, and then that item just goes away. It's a laugh, it's fun, it has a nice kind of resource management element to it. You can get money, you can get extra money if you've got certain resources. It plays pretty quickly, but it can be, as I said, frustrating. I gave it 7.5 out of 10, and as I said, click on the video if you want to see the review. Next up, we have Onitama from Arcane Wonders. This is a two-player abstract game which is very similar to the lines of chess. But the thing is, your moves are dictated to you by cards, and you're going to be playing one of your cards and moving one of your pieces and then putting this card in the middle. And then the other player will take their turn and play one of their cards, and then they'll take the card from the middle and replace it with the card that they've just played and activated. This goes on back and forth until either one of the kings have been caught, so to speak, the kings, or whether your king has managed to get to a certain space on the other side of the board, which will make you the victory. It's light, it's fun, it's very quick playing, or it can be very long playing. It's a perfect information game, as Mike Fitzgerald says, and I gave it a 7 out of 10. Yes, it is great, but at the same time, it's very limited to 2 players and very limited in the amount of moves that you can make, but it's beautiful as well. It comes with beautiful components. So if that interests you, check that out. Next up, we have Dungeons and Dragons, the fantasy adventure board game from, this is a very old game which I got way back in 2005, methinks. I played it many times. It's a dungeon crawling game. It's a very basic one. It's one that you wouldn't expect. Well, you would expect to have a lot of depth from the Dungeons and Dragons universe, but all it is like a light coating of characters and monsters. But it is pretty good. My daughter is enjoying it a lot at the moment. You're just moving around a dungeon, playing a really kind of silly light story. It's disappointing because, you know, it's supposed to be Dungeons and Dragons, but at the same time it's not too bad a game. As I said, my daughter plays it a lot. I give it 6.5 out of 10. Not as good as Hero Quest, and no way as good as Mice and Mystics or Descent or anything like that. So It's a game that you should go and get if you're a bit nostalgic, or if you've got some Dungeons and Dragons and you want to play it out on a real board. And last up is Aladdin and the Magic Lamp from Purple Brain Creations. It's a light family fun game where players are playing as thieves trying to sneak in to steal chests from underneath the noses of other players. And it's a blind bidding again. It's bluffing. You're choosing the value of your dice, how stealthy you're going to be. The lower you are, you get the chance to actually steal from the chest. But that number also dictates how many cards you take from that chest, and also your strength, because some of these items in the chest are trapped and they may do you damage. So you might walk away with lots of treasure, you might walk away with nothing. A very quick, light playing, fun family game. Really enjoyed it. Nice components. I give it an 8 out of 10. And I also managed to do 2 Berkey and Badger board game babble shows. Yes, you can either watch these live. Well, not live, they're not live now, but they're video form live when we recorded them on YouTube. Or you can download the podcast, which has been edited together a bit smaller and a bit more compact and a bit more clean. Any way you want. The first one we did was Infinity and Beyond, where we talk about longevities of games. We talk about games that we still play today, that we were produced and we've had for like 10 years. And we talk about games of 2016 and whether we're going to still be playing them in 10 years time. We also do a really in-depth review of Dragon and Flagon from Stronghold Games. Our second podcast show was called Time and Pleasure, and we had this with our special guest Mike Fitzgerald. The living legend Mike Fitzgerald. Put an echo on that. And we talk about do designers think about the time play in a game, when they're designing a game, do they think about, well, I'm designing this game about this and it should be about 30 minutes. Or do they just go, I'm just designing this, and then it doesn't matter how long it is. We talk about our favorite short games, and we talk about our favorite long games in the show. So there you go. That's all the things I've been doing this month. Very busy, and it's going to be even busier later when you find out what else I've been up to. Yes. So this is first and the last. It's kind of first impressions or last impressions that I have of games as they go in between all these different modes of gameplays and sessions that I have. I'm going to kick off with this game from Arcane Wonders called Royals, which is sent to me by my good friend Mr. Burkhard Schmier. There he is. Royals is a kind of very light Euro game where you're kind of just collecting cards to get dominance and use those cards to get dominance around Europe, Germany, France, Spain and England. And you're sending out little nobles to go in, like whisper in the ears of kings and duchesses and stuff. There's lots of different ways of getting points. You get points by actually being the first person to put a noble into a city, and then you also get points by having a noble for each of the different personalities that are in the game. So from the king, duchess, all the way down to the sergeant. You also get points if you have like nobles in each city. You also get points for this, that and the other. And there's 3 scoring rounds which give you points if you have the dominance in each country. It's very light. It's really easy to teach. It looks quite nice. I'm not saying it looks gorgeous, but it does look quite nice, and it plays very simply. It's kind of enjoyable. The system itself is just simply collecting cards. And people kind of know what you're going for, because if you keep going to your turn and every time you're picking up 3 face-up England cards, they know what you're trying to do. But there's some fun in that, and there's some fun in I've got these cards and I'm going to kill that noble so I can take control. So I'm enjoying it at the moment. I've played it 2-player, which is not so good, and I've played it 4-player, and that was really good. So I'm looking forward to playing it with 5-player and maybe a few other kind of numbers as well. Again, I like to play my games several times before I actually do a sit down and video review it, because it's no fun otherwise. The next game I'm going to talk about is a game which I don't have in my collection anymore because I've sold it, which means that I'm going to give you my last impressions of this game. It is X-Wing, the Star Wars miniatures game. Now, I bought this when this came out because I was going to buy the Wings of War and Wings of Glory and whatever it was, which is basically the same game. It's the same system where you have planes flying around and you're dogfighting. This X-Wings miniatures game is the same thing. You're dogfighting with the rebels and the other guys. Yeah, so minis are nice. The system is nice. Everything really works about the game. But the game didn't appeal to me because this dogfighting just seemed too slow and it seemed so boring in places. There were times when we were playing and it was just a case of, you know, going round and round each other trying to shoot the other one. There's lots of special powers and there's lots of power-ups and there is a lot of strategy, but I don't know, it just did not ring my bell for me. You know, it's the Star Wars universe. It's the best part of the Star Wars universe. It's the spaceships, which, you know, they have a lot of character in them. But no, I had to let it go. It wasn't fun, so I sold my mat, I've sold my 2 base sets, and I sold the extra dice because it's a fantasy flight game and every game needs an extra set of dice. It's not for everyone. Definitely wasn't for me. I thought it would be for me, but yeah, it just became very, very boring. It's a good system. It needs something a bit more faster, I feel, to get into, to feel like dogfighting, especially if you like got 6 vessels and it's like you do your planning and. But anywho, that's X-Wing. Bye bye. And last up is Meowtopia, which is a small, as you can see, kind of not worker placement, but a resource and worker management game. It's a very light one where you have cats and you use those cats to go working to get food, because cats need food and they need sleep as well. And so you're sending them off to do jobs like plough fields, which will give them food as well, and also collect gold, and also set up marketplaces so you can store your gold or your food and get extra points at the end of the game. It's really, really light. It plays really quickly at about 40 minutes. I haven't played a 2-player game, but I have played a 4-player game, and it is cute, light. As I said, it's a very light worker resource management game. This is probably a step up for a lot of players, newbie players probably. I'm going to play this a lot more, of course, because I want to review it. It looks cute. If you like cats. I don't like cats. I don't like cats at all. But yeah, that's Meowtopia. Not bad. So you might want to check those games out. You might not want to check those games out. But that's the games that I've played recently, and that's my first and last impressions of them. No, I'm not really into abusing plants that often. I'm actually making Foley sounds. That's the word, Foley sounds. For a soundtrack that I'm doing for the game The Seventh Continent. The Seventh Continent was a game put on Kickstarter by Serious Pulp. And the game itself is it's a choose your own adventure style game done with cards, and you have been cursed, and you found yourself back on the Seventh Continent where you were cursed, and you've got to get rid of this curse somehow. So you as adventurers are doing the kind of choose your own adventure styly things, like deciding whether to go north, east, south or west, as well as, you know, should I explore this pile of weird structured rocks, or should I go and chase that animal over there? There'll be all these little decisions to make, and unlike choose your own adventures, in the book form, you'll be able to. There'll be random events, even though the layout of the land will be the same every time you play. There'll be random events set up in the fog of war. When you explore an unknown piece of territory, there'll be something different that happens every time you explore. And also there'll be different things that happen at certain key points in the game. You might see a rabbit, and then you'll have a choice of like 3 cards to pick from, and so you pick one of those, and the rabbit is a savage rabbit and it's going to eat your feet. Or you might, in another time you play it, the rabbit is actually cute and cuddly and lays chocolate eggs. It's going to be that kind of randomness in the game that you'll be able to do. You'll be able to replay it many times. And on top of that, there's all the ideas that you have. Your ideas come from when you exert energy, and the ideas, you can construct some of them. So you might have an idea how to construct a spear, but you're going to need the resources to construct it. And this spear might make it easier to do certain tasks on the map. It might even help you get easy access to areas of the map, or there's little things. There's areas of the map which are going to be blocked off unless you've got a particular item. There's going to be areas of the map which are going to be blocked off unless you're really lucky and spend a lot of energy. So there's going to be a lot of randomness, because you're going to have different items each time you play the game, and you're going to construct them, and you're going to need to work out where's the best place to use it, because these items will break. So this game is just immense. Did I mention there's like over 1 million cards in it? At the beginning, I was involved with the actual Kickstarter. I was one of the lucky few that got the prototype, and I was able to demonstrate it to the world via a YouTube video. This is the game, and this is how it plays, and this is what I think of it. And it was a truly excellent adventure for me. I really enjoyed it, and I got in contact with Bruno and Ludwig and said, this game's great. Thank you for the opportunity to demo it, because I've played the demo many times now, about 9-10 times. And after that, I looked out for them at conventions, like for Paris et Ludique, and when Essen. That's the most important one, Essen. So in Essen 2016, I did an interview with Bruno, and I was asking him all these kinds of questions about the project, how it was getting on. And there was one question that I forgot to ask, because I'd seen in the Kickstarter updates that they were going to do an ambient soundtrack, and that piqued my interest, because that's the kind of thing I like. And so I went back to him after I did the interview, and I said, oh yeah, I forgot to ask you about that. And I was expecting him to say, oh, it's Sirenscape, and you know how much I love Sirenscape. Sirenscape is fabulous kind of tool for creating ambience while you're playing games, mainly role-playing games, but I use it for practically everything. And he said, no, we got a composer who's composing it, always it's nothing to do with them. And I was like, okay, fine. A couple of months later, I get an email from Bruno saying that our composer has unfortunately left us. Do you know anybody? And he remembered talking to me about the music, and I said about these other composers that I know, and so I gave him a list of composers. I said Benjamin Loomis, Sirenscape, and Tabletop Audio, and I also put at the bottom me. I also do soundtracks. A couple of weeks later, I got an email back. It said, thank you very much for the email. How would you like to do it? And I was like, what, me do your soundtrack? He said, yeah. I was like, are you kidding? I'd love to do it. Wow. So that's how that came to be. Well, the game should be arriving for Kickstarter backers sometime in May. What about the rest of the world? What about the guys have been talking about getting the game into stores sometime later in the year. So it's going to be a case of wait and see, I'm afraid. if you missed out on the Kickstarter, that is. So my kind of like deadline is to complete the music and the worlds and the soundtracks by February, March at the latest, and have it all nailed down so they can put it up on their sites, so you can download it for free and play along with Seventh Continent. Yes. Okay, now we get to the prize draw. This is the part where I will give out a free copy of my CD Last Night in a digital version, which you can download because it's better to download. And this will be given to one of my Patreons that has backed over the $5 limit. Your names will go into this hat and I pull one out. Again, if there's more of you, if there's a load of you that have pledged above the $5 limit, I will put lots of names in the hat and I will give out a few more extra copies all in one go. But at the moment, there's not enough of you. Come on, pledge. You want some of my goodies. You'll want some of my goodies eventually. Right, drum roll. I shake the hat. I put my hand in like this. I grab one of the pieces of paper, which is all folded up, and I open it and I read it aloud. And it says, Mr. Kevin B is the proud winner of a digital copy of Last Night. Sound effect thunder. So there you go. That's the Double Back Monthly. Please, if my stuff does interest you and you want to help support what I do, then go and check out my Patreon and throw a few dollars my way. Again, I got some special stuff coming soon. So keep your eye on my Patreon because there'll be some zombies on the way. So I'd like to thank all my Patreons so far. So that's Vince and Olivier and David and Kevin and of course Elephant Girl. Thank you very much, guys. You make my day. So let's get to the end of this video because you're probably all switched off by now, aren't you?